That's right, it's me. And I hope you are excited for this video because it is another 2017 back to school video for my series I'm doing on my channel. Now I suspect that some of you watching this video might be starting college, so you'll be a freshman in college, and you're probably scared and nervous for this to be happening. But I will let you know that everyone, no matter who they are scared and nervous to start college because it is a big step in life. And since I am going to be a junior in college, I kind of know a few things about it. And so that's why I want to share with you the major differences between high school and college. Because there are some major differences you notice right away when you go to college that are completely different from high school. So I thought sharing these with you will make it easier for you when you start college because you'll be more prepared for them. So I'm going to be sharing with you 12 differences between high school and college. So without further ado, let's just jump right on into the video. The first major difference between high school and college is that you aren't going to be living at home with your parents. That is probably something you realize right away. And that is actually the scariest thing. That was the scariest thing for me when starting school because, as we all know, we all depend a lot on our parents because they cook us dinner, they buy us things, and they just provide us somewhere to live. And so when you go to college, you're going to be living away from your parents, well, unless you go to a school close to where you live. But if not, then you're going to be living away from your parents in a dorm with people you don't even know, which that makes it even scarier to start college, is you're going to be living with people you don't know. And so when you go away to school, your parents are not there, so they're not going to be able to tell you when to wake up for class, what to eat for dinner, and they're not going to make you dinner, and they're not going to be there to say, do your homework or study for your test. They're not going to be able to remind you those things. So the first thing you learn right away is about responsibility, because you have to make sure you get up on time and go to your classes, because your parents are paying for your classes. So if you don't go to your classes, then it's like a waste of money for them. And you've got to learn how to eat and eat healthy. And that leads me into my next tip, which I'll get to. But the last thing is, you quickly learn that you have to keep on top of your schoolwork. And you can't goof around and play a lot of video games or watch a lot of TV or whatever else. You gotta be responsible for your classes. So my next tip that goes right from this one, well, my next difference from high school and college is that you have to make sure you eat healthy in college. Because for some of you, you may have heard of this, and I know it's more of an American thing, but it could still happen to you if you live like somewhere else, not in America. And it is called the Freshman 15. And what that means is that a lot of people, that when they start school, they are so happy because when you start college, you get a meal plan and you get to go to the cafeteria and they have all this food and you can eat whatever you want, and nobody's going to say, oh, don't eat all of those chips or don't eat all of that chicken or whatever. Because you have to be responsible, again, the word responsible, which I'll be saying a lot in this video. You have to make sure you eat healthy, but also don't eat too much. Because a lot of people, as I said, they get a meal plan in college, and then when they get to the cafeteria, they see all this food and just gorge themselves. But actually, at a lot of the schools, the food's not that good, so you're not going to want to gorge yourself on all the food. Just make sure you be mindful of how much you're eating, and make sure you're not eating too many sweets. college, you're probably going to have a refrigerator in your dorm room and a microwave. And so you're going to want to put food into your refrigerator, right? Well, you're going to have to spend money in order to buy this food. So you have to make sure that you don't buy too much food and don't buy a lot of sweets because, as I said, you got to watch your nutrition. And you don't want to spend too much money on food for your refrigerator because then you'll be stuck in your dorm room all the time and you'll never go out and meet people and be able to socialize with people by going to the cafeteria. And another thing with being mindful of your money is that I know at my school, which this is very helpful, is when you get your meal plan, you also get like bonus dollars or like they call it like school cash or whatever that you can use at like any of the food places that the school has. Like we have an Einstein Bagels and you can use your bonus dollars or your school cash to pay for like the food you get there. But you don't want to, like, when you run out of that, use your own money in order to pay for all that. So just be mindful of your money while you're at school because you do want to have some money in case of an emergency. Now the fourth difference between high school and college is, which is something that a lot of freshmen get roped into, and because they go crazy, because freshmen go crazy when they get to college because they're away from their parents, so they think they can do whatever they want. So the fourth main difference between high school and college is parties. Now these parties may be similar to the ones you had in high school. I don't know, I never went to any parties in high school. I was never invited to them, never wanted to go to them. But there are going to be parties in college. That's just how it is because the sororities and the fraternities and I guess maybe the clubs and organizations have parties and you're going to want to go to those parties because you think, oh, I'm away from my parents. I can do whatever I want. But be mindful at these parties. There may be alcohol and there may be drugs and do not be one of those people that do them. Do not. Because a lot of the freshmen, they go to these parties and they start drinking a lot. Don't do it. Do not do it. Because you can get in big trouble by being a freshman for drinking because you're underage. And you could get kicked out of school just for that. So do not go to a party and start drinking and doing drugs. You could get kicked out of school for that. If you want to go to a party, then go. But just don't be one of those people that drink a lot and do drugs. Just be careful. So that is the fourth difference between high school and college. Now the fifth difference is on something that doesn't seem like you would notice right away, but something I noticed and my suite mates and my roommate noticed, and that is difference number 5 is making friends. Because in college, it wasn't just me. Other people said this too. It's a lot harder to make friends in college than it is in high school. Because with high school, you might have people that are in a lot of your classes with you, so you can become friends with them. But with college, everybody has like a different major. So let's say my major, for example, is digital media. So there will be people that are in a lot of my digital media classes, which I can become friends with. But I also have to do like general education classes and just basic elective classes. And those kids might not be in a lot of my other classes, like my digital media classes. So it would be a lot harder to make friends that way because they're not going to see them again. So that is something that you have to really work hard on, which I'm still working on, is making friends in college because you're not going to see a lot of the same people in your classes unless they are part of your major. And you can become friends with your roommates, but you don't want to just be friends with your roommates. You want to make friends outside of your roommates. Now, major difference number 6 is, and it goes along with major difference number 5, is being in classes with your friends. Because I know in high school and middle school, whenever I got my class schedule, I would immediately text my friends or call my friends to see if we're going to be in any of the same classes. Most of the time I wasn't in their classes, and it didn't bother me. But in college, as I said for tip number 5, people have different majors, so you're not going to see a lot of the same people in your classes. So once you meet your roommates, you might say, oh, what is your schedule? But they might not be the same major as you, so they might not have any class with you. So that's something you shouldn't be too worried about, is being in classes with people you know, because chances are you won't be in classes with people you know. Now, again, to go with difference number 6 and number 5, for difference number 7, it is eating in the cafeteria. And what I mean by this is, I know that in middle school and high school, one of the biggest things you want is to have lunch with your friends. That way you know where you're going to sit at school and who to sit with. But in college, it doesn't matter if you have lunch with your friends or not. Most of the time you can have like lunch with your friends, but sometimes you won't, and it's okay to eat alone in the cafeteria. A lot of people do it, and most people just study in the cafeteria if they're sitting alone, or just look at their phone. And nobody cares if you're sitting alone by yourself at the cafeteria, because a lot of people do it. Because it depends on how your friends or your roommates' schedules are set up in terms of when the classes are, and that sometimes they might not have time to eat with you. So it doesn't matter if you sit alone at the cafeteria. I know it mattered in high school and people thought you were weird if you sat alone, but in college nobody cares. And then difference number 8 is with, now I'm going to say the next couple of tips are about the classes in particular, just so you know. So difference number 8 is that your classes will be 10 times, even 100 times harder than your classes in high school. Because in high school, a lot of the classes, for me personally, and a lot of other people agree with this, were classes that you could, I'm going to say it, BS on, which means you didn't have to try too hard at, and you could still get a good grade in. But in college, you can't do that. You cannot do that. It is impossible to do that and get a good grade. Because in college, the classes are so much harder. And you have to study 10 times harder. Like, you could be in a class that might seem easy, like let's say psychology. You might think, oh, that'll be an easy class to take because I took it in high school. But the psychology class you took in high school compared to the one in college are completely different, because you're going to get more coursework and more tests and quizzes to study for. So just be mindful that your classes are going to be a lot harder in college than they were in high school, so you have to study 10 times more. So just remember that. And then, as I'm talking about studying, difference number 9 is studying. Now, what I mean by this is that in high school, for a lot of your classes, you probably didn't study for and still got a good grade in that class. But you can't do that in college, because in college, classes are, as I said for tip number 8, the classes are a lot harder. And so, what am I saying? And so you need to study way more than you did in high school. Like when you find out when your tests are in college, you want to study at least 3 to 2 weeks earlier than your test is going to be. Because the weeks before, like 3 weeks or 2 weeks before your test, the teachers are still going to be giving you material that's going to be on the test. And the teachers aren't necessarily going to have a day where they just review what's going to be, well, they will tell you what's going to be on the test, but they won't like have a day where they're like, okay, here's the type of questions that are going to be on the test. And most of the time, probably all the time, your teachers won't give you a study guide for your test. They might just say, here's what's going to be on the test, but they won't give you like an exact study guide. So just be aware of that when you get your tests and you find out, okay, here's what my test is. I'm going to study 3 weeks ahead of time. And that'll be helpful. And my mother said, which I never do, but you should do, is the first day of class that you start learning something, right after that class or when you get the chance, start studying that material. It'll help you in the long run. Long run. I don't know what I said. Long run. And then tip number 10, which is for your classes, is going to class and being late for class. Since your parents aren't going to be there when you're in college, you got to make sure that you go to bed early and get a full night's rest, and you got to make sure that you actually wake up on time for your classes. Because in college, you have to walk to your classes. You don't drive to your classes, you walk to your classes. So you want to give yourself plenty of time to get to your classes. And you do not want to be late to your classes, because teachers notice that and they could give you a bad grade for always being late to class. And if you miss a certain number of classes, like I know at my school, if you missed 4 classes, then you automatically fail the class. So do not let that happen to you. Tip number 11 is due dates. Now what I mean about this is when you, in high school, the teachers probably told you like every day you had class that, oh, this project is due this date, make sure you're doing it and stuff. Or, oh, this paper is due this day, make sure you're doing it. But in college, the teachers aren't like that. They'll say one day, okay, here's the paper you have to write, here's when it's due. But in the next classes, they won't tell you, they won't remind you about the paper, and they won't say, okay, remember, the paper's due on the 11th. They just won't do it. So when the 11th rolls around and you don't have it done because you forgot, then you're in big trouble. So what I suggest is you have a planner and you write down when the paper's due, and each day you work on it. Or project, for example, each day you work on the project. Because the teachers will not remind you when the paper or project is due like they would have in high school. And another thing is, if you miss the due date, most of the time, professors will not let you turn it in after the due date. They just will not let you do it. Whereas in high school, the teachers were more lenient on it, and they would let you turn it in after the due date, but they just reduce your grade. In college, it doesn't work that way. So just make sure you stay on top of your schoolwork and just check your syllabus, because the first day of classes in college, you'll get your syllabus, and it'll say when things are due. So just make sure you write that down in your planner so you know, and set reminders for yourself. Even if you have to set a reminder on your phone, set reminders for yourself so you remember when everything is due. Now, my last difference between high school and college, which I quickly realized, which is difference number 12, 2, is that people don't care about what you wear in college. They just do not care. Because in college, people normally just wear what they wear to bed. Or, I mean, I try to dress cute. I mean, you don't want to dress like a slob, but most people will not come up to you and say, oh, I like that shirt you're wearing. In college, they just don't care. Which I think is a good thing. Because I know in high school, a lot of people cared about what you wore. And if you wore the wrong thing in high school, then people could make fun of you for that. Whereas in college, nobody cares what you wear. You could wear a sweatshirt and jeans or something and look ridiculous in college, and no one would say anything to you. So that is why in college you still want to look good, but don't worry too much about what you're going to wear, because chances are people won't care too much about what you wear. So those were my 12 differences between high school and college that I have noticed since my freshman year all the way up to my junior year. Actually, each year of college I noticed something different between high school and college. But so far, that is what I've noticed that is different between high school and college. And I hope all of those differences help out all of you that are going to be a freshman. And I hope that these prepare you for these differences. And yeah, so my dance video for this that I'm suggesting to you guys is, what am I doing? I already forgot. Oh, dance video. It's not really a school-inspired dance, but I really like it because school involves kids, and in my generation, the millennials is what we're called, we are so focused on technology. And I know that in school, you're not allowed to use your cell phone, not allowed to use like an iPad or an iPod to listen to music. You'll get in trouble. And this dance is inspired by us kids and how we use technology way too much. Like we use it all the time. Like we never talk to someone face to face. It's mostly through social media. And we never really tell our opinions about things in person. We do it mostly through social media. So this video is inspired by how kids are always using social media to voice their opinions and talk to people, and they don't do it face to face. And it is inspired by this poem, or speech, I guess, I don't remember which one it is, that this guy wrote about how kids use social media way too much. And actually, this was an experiment that this dance company did, and they took kids from ages 8 to 16, and they told them they weren't allowed to use social media for a week. And for the kids, this was really hard because, as I said, my generation uses technology way too much. So, as you watch this video, it explains the experiment, and the kids say how they felt about it. And as the week progressed, the kids were learning the dance to the speech or poem. I don't remember which one it is. And in the beginning, the kids weren't that into the dance. They did it okay, but the heart wasn't there, But as the week progressed and they weren't using social media, the dance got better and better. So I hope you guys check out this dance video because I thought it was very interesting. And I'll put the link to it in my description box down below so you can go check it out. And then my quote is, and I don't know if I've done this quote before. If I did, I apologize. Actually, no, I think I did do this one. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Yeah, I like this one. Okay. So, my quote for this week is, the minute you think of giving up, think of the reason why you held on for so long. And I think this quote is just perfect for school because I'm one of those people that always gives up. And in school, you can't give up. If you have a test you have to study for, or you have a project you have to do, you can't just give up because it's so hard. Then you'll end up getting a bad grade. You have to persevere, and you have to just go, go, go. Because the more hard work you do, the easier it'll become. And if you give up, you'll risk getting a bad grade and not doing well in the class. So never ever give up on anything in life. Whether it be schoolwork or whether it be a relationship or something, I don't know. Never ever give up. It always takes hard work to make sure something works. So, I hope you guys like this video by giving it a huge thumbs up. A huge thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're already not subscribed to my channel.